from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, the former mayor of Knoxville.
Knox County, but it's a little bigger than Knoxville City, but still, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Baird. Mr. Leeden, is it Ledeen or Leeden? Ms.
Ledeen, yes.
Ledeen, I'm sorry. Nobody gets my name right either, ma'am, so we're good. What have the recent strikes in Yemen achieved?
There has been no demonstrable change since the strikes in Yemen.
In your opinion, what needs to be targeted so that these strikes would be more effective and that we don't keep hitting the same dadgum targets?
Well, I think we can, as a benchmark, use the insurance prices and shipping companies' decisions to reroute through around the Horn of Africa as a sort of guide for this. But the recommendations that I've made in my oral and written testimony are really focused on empowering our partners and allies. But yes, we should also be taking strikes against Houthi targets and IRGC targets that are training and equipping the Houthis as well. And that is, we know where those are. And we should be taking more aggressive action, not simply defensive actions.
It seems to me also that we keep hitting the same targets. I mean, we're not doing anything effective. Yeah, we're showing them how our capabilities, but to me that just doesn't. It's just a waste of resources. Dr. Pollock, did I get that name right? All right, good deal, brother.
Yes, and talk about a name that gets mispronounced frequently. Well done,
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir. Should we be concerned about any attempts to legitimize the Houthis as a government?
I think that we should. We need to recognize that this is not the government that the people of Yemen would choose if they ever had the opportunity to do so.
Right.
I agree with Dr. Alterman that they represent, or they may represent, a portion of the Yemeni population, but they don't come close to representing the majority of the people of Yemen.
Do you feel like the Saudis would be willing to accept the Houthis' de facto government in order to end their involvement in Yemen?
I think that what we've seen from the Saudis, especially since 2019, is I think that they probably would, simply because they don't feel like they have any better alternative. But I think that they very much would regard it as their least bad option.
Okay, and I'd like to ask this question, but maybe the rest of y'all could answer it as well. Can you speak to the human rights abuses committed by the Houthi rebels?
I can start. I can talk about their pervasive use of child soldiers. That is an absolute disgrace. And
Did you say child tortures?
child soldiers.
Soldiers, okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's a heavily documented phenomenon that if you're not familiar, I sincerely recommend looking into it. It's been a problem for quite a while, and in the wake of these recent attacks, there's actually been a surge, people sending their children to join the Houthis, and it's truly a humanitarian catastrophe when you consider the coming generation in Yemen and what they may be like, what we might be dealing with, in the next generation. They're already building that. So I think that's one point. Obviously, there's a complete breakdown in medical care. There's pervasive starvation. My colleagues here can talk about that, I think, in further detail.
Dr. Alterman.
There are issues of women's rights, LGBTQ rights, as the gentleman from California talked about, basic rule of law. This is a government of thugs. It resembles in many ways a place run by organized crime, and the misery of the people of Yemen is pervasive and continues every day.
All right, women are just basically possessions, and gay folks are thrown off of buildings, that type of scenario. Is that what you're telling me?
This is both a repressive government and a government that believes it's asserting traditional values, which is anathema to our understanding of individual freedoms and human rights.
Dr. Pollock?
I'll just add to that, Congressman, that it's worth recognizing that the Zaydis are a very important old community of Yemen. Before 1962, it was a Zaidi imamate that ruled Yemen. But the Houthis are a fundamentalist element within the Zaidi community. And they are, again, oppressive, totalitarian in their behavior, fundamentalist in their outlook. And I don't think that we have a very good handle on even how many Zaidis support the Houthi rule. I think that there is, I'll put this way, considerable anecdotal information that suggests that there are plenty of Zaidis who look at the Houthis and say, these are not the people who we would want telling us how to live our lives.
Okay, thank you. I've gone over. Yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your indulgence.